Sophie Cunningham just turned a random WNBA offseason moment into a full-blown FAFO masterclass, and Jacy Sheldon got savagely destroyed. Not in a TikTok reel kind of way, more like a you probably shouldn't have messed with me and Caitlin Clark kind of way. This wasn't subtle. It wasn't whispered in a tunnel or handled with a PR-friendly shrug. Sophie put it on display, on the court, in front of fans, and then, for good measure, in permanent ink. So the real question is simple. How much do you love Sophie? Let me know down in the comments below, because she's exactly the enforcer Caitlin needs by her side.
Sophie Cunningham owned Jacy Sheldon from the same game that Marina Mabrey did the massive body slam into Caitlin Clark on. She still owns Jacy. She still owns Jacy Sheldon. And what's great is she's got a great sense of humor about it, and she's not shy about it. I mean, what are they going to do?
Let's stop pretending here. When your teammate is Caitlin Clark, the league's attendance engine, the ratings magnet, the player drawing sellout crowds and moving games into NBA arenas, and the greatest record breaker the league has ever seen, she's going to get targeted. Not occasionally, consistently. There are players who rise to the moment, and then there are players who try to build their moment by bumping into her. If you're her teammate, you have two options. Stand there and hope the refs notice, or send a message that doesn't require a whistle. Sophie chose the second option, and she didn't hesitate.
This is kind of crazy. This one is kind of crazy. When you get Sophie Cunningham to sign a Jacy Sheldon rookie card with property of, that is crazy. That is crazy. Property of Sophie Cunningham.
This all circles back to that chaotic game that already felt like a highlight reel of how much can we get away with. Before Marina Mabrey decided to test out her linebacker audition after the whistle, there was Jacy Sheldon testing boundaries like it was open gym. A bump here, a little extra contact there. The kind of stuff that players later describe as just competing, even when it's clearly more than that. Fever fans saw it, teammates saw it, and Sophie definitely saw it.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and Jacy Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down. Sheldon fouls Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabrey comes in. She decks Clark. Tempers flaring on both sides.
Here's the thing about patterns. They don't need commentary. Sheldon had already started building a quiet reputation for contact that always seemed to land on the same person. Not random, not evenly distributed. Somehow, it was Clark again. And when Sheldon added another unnecessary nudge to the list, Sophie didn't go looking for a complaint form. She filed it mentally. Later in the game, Cunningham delivered what can only be described as a firm, controlled reminder. Not dirty, not reckless, just physical enough to say, "We noticed. Adjust accordingly."
Sophie commits a hard foul on Jacy Sheldon again. As Jacy Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm gonna give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely intentional.
It was basketball justice. The kind that doesn't escalate but doesn't ignore either. A clean hit within the flow of the game, but with purpose. The message wasn't shouted. It was delivered through contact and eye contact. And for most players, that's where the story would have ended. But Sophie wasn't done. Fast forward to a Fever fan event. No game clock, no refs, just tables, Sharpies, and fans lining up for autographs. Sophie's in full community mode, smiling, joking, signing whatever gets slid across the table. That's when a fan pulls out a Jacy Sheldon rookie card and asks for a signature. Not just a name, a statement.
She's the problem. She is the problem.
Sophie doesn't blink. She takes the card, grabs the pen, and writes across it, "Property of Sophie Cunningham." That wasn't a doodle. That wasn't an inside joke whispered under her breath. That was a declaration in broad daylight. A line in ink that basically said, "If you're going to test us, understand the terms." It was funny, it was sharp, it was completely on brand, and it instantly turned into gasoline on social media.
Sophie Cunningham would take her rightful place as the Indiana Fever enforcer, and I believe took the first step to her becoming the second most popular player in the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham is everywhere. Arby's, walking in. She's best looking woman walking into these WNBA arenas. I mean, black belt Barbie, anybody? Black belt Barbie.
Lexi Hull, sitting next to her, broke into laughter. Fans at the table lost it. Phones came out. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. It had everything people love: rivalry, humor, authenticity, and a teammate standing up for the league's biggest star without waiting for permission. It wasn't staged content. It wasn't a marketing rollout. It was raw personality. And the most important part? Sophie didn't retreat. No awkward clarifications. No just kidding guys follow-up. She didn't open a Notes app apology. She leaned into it because she meant it. That's the consistency you want from someone taking on that enforcer role. Not chaos, not ego, just loyalty with teeth.
Sophie Cunningham has been Caitlin Clark's biggest cheerleader and defender.
And it literally pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What? When people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as
The sad truth about this video we just watched is she is the first WNBA player I have seen to openly say this out loud, publicly, and not be ashamed in declaring it.
Every great player in sports history had protection. Jordan had teammates who weren't afraid to absorb the physicality for him. Curry has Draymond. Even in hockey, the generational talents don't skate alone. And right now, the most watched player in the WNBA has Sophie Cunningham, shooter, competitor, and apparently now part-time enforcer with a Sharpie. But here's what makes this more than theatrics. Sophie is producing. This isn't some bench player trying to manufacture relevance through drama. Since the break, she's been knocking down threes with confidence, stacking double-digit scoring nights, and stepping up when the Fever needs spacing and toughness. 18 against Phoenix, 15 here, 20 there. It's not just attitude, it's output.
Caitlin Clark is the reason we have been talking about the WNBA. Hate it or love it, it's true. I don't believe that Caitlin Clark necessarily wants that title that everyone has been giving to her. I think she just wants to be appreciated. And Sophie Cunningham, she just seems like such a real one, such a good friend. I think especially with women, especially elite level athletes, there's a lot of people, women, who will kind of stab you in the back. There's a lot of jealousy, a lot of resentment, especially when you're good. But Sophie just seems like such a girl's girl. I really, really like her. Maybe Caitlin Clark should do the next American Eagle campaign, or Sophie Cunningham.
Enforcer energy is fun. Enforcer energy paired with real scoring efficiency, that wins games. That builds trust in the locker room, that gives the fans someone else to rally behind besides Clark. And when Sophie wrote "Property of Sophie Cunningham," it didn't feel petty. It felt proportional. It felt like a response to months of unnecessary contact finally getting addressed in a way that was both clever and unmistakable.
Do you guys think this means anything? Like, obviously, when you get a Sophie Cunningham sign a Jacy Sheldon card, like, I think we should see that more in sports.
The meme cycle was immediate. Fever fans embraced it. Clark's fan base, which at this point operates like a small nation, saved it, reposted it, turned it into profile pictures. Even neutral fans who've grown tired of watching Clark get bumped, grabbed, and hip-checked without consequence nodded in approval. Because at its core, this wasn't about Sheldon alone. It was about a pattern. And that's why the joke hit harder than the ink. Jacy Sheldon's early WNBA storyline hasn't exactly been smooth. Drafted by Dallas, moved around, trying to find footing. But instead of a breakout performance becoming her headline, it was this moment. The guard who took her shot at Clark, and the guard who got publicly claimed by Sophie Cunningham.
This is hilarious. It really is. Indiana Fever star takes humorous jab at Caitlin Clark villain. You gotta love an Iowa Hawkeyes wire headline. That's really good. That's Jacy Sheldon. Congratulations. That's all you're known as. The chick that was mean to Caitlin Clark. That's your legacy. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, you've been traded, and I don't think you're much of a basketball player.
That's the reality of poking the league's biggest star. It doesn't stay small. It doesn't stay local. It becomes content, commentary, and eventually culture. And Fever fans understood exactly what the autograph symbolized. It wasn't about humiliation. It was about identity. It was about a teammate drawing a clear boundary that the referees had blurred too many times. Let's call it what it is. This entire arc doesn't exist if the league had done a better job protecting its main attraction. From blindside contact earlier in the season to hip checks and after-whistle shoves, the pattern has been visible. The whistles haven't always followed. And when the league's most valuable draw is absorbing that kind of attention without consistent protection, someone in the locker room eventually steps up.
Sheldon, who was selected number 5 overall in the 2024 WNBA draft by the Dallas Wings, following 5 seasons at Ohio State, has quickly established herself a very negative opinion for both Hawkeye and Fever fans after her June 17th flagrant one on Clark and her eventually uncalled for knee to the right groin area during the July 15 clash in Boston as a member of the Connecticut Sun. By the way, can you stay with the team? You got selected by Dallas. You're already on your 3rd squad in 18 months. God.
Sophie stepped up, and in doing so, she did more than defend Caitlin Clark. She helped define what this Fever team is becoming: tight, loyal, and unwilling to let their star navigate the chaos alone. That's culture. That's chemistry. And that's why this wasn't just a funny autograph. It was a statement.
I just think, and you know way better than me,
Yeah.
but like, it just feels like people are jealous of this new little wave of.
They are, but I
rookies.
just hate that because like, this is what we've always wanted as a league. So like, who cares who gets the credit? And if you're smart, you're making money off of them.
Yeah.
Like you are literally making money from the viewership.
And why bully the person who is like not 100% responsible, but like has a huge role in growing your sport?
Dude, and it literally like pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
For Indiana Fever fans, the Jacy Sheldon situation wasn't just irritating, it felt personal. We're not talking about a decorated veteran with years of playoff equity. We're talking about a young guard whose WNBA resume still has the new paper smell. Yet somehow, she's managed to build a reputation faster for questionable contact than for box score production. Drafted 5th overall by the Dallas Wings in 2024, Sheldon didn't even settle in before finding herself on the move. And now, instead of headlines about breakout scoring or lockdown defense, the buzz centers on her run-ins with Caitlin Clark that look more like frustration than fundamentals. That's not exactly the blueprint for earning league-wide respect. Sophie Cunningham saw the pattern and decided the tough girl audition needed a reminder about who's really in control.
It was, to me, payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't going to injure Jacy. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it. We'll take care of it, but this is not what you're going to do when you come into our house. It was an intentional foul. It was a hard foul. She brought her down. But with that, you guys, Jacy Sheldon got up and she was ready to go. So as you guys can see in this video, a whole scuffle breaks out. Sophie and Jacy are going after it. Both teams are running over, trying to break it up. It kind of goes into the fan section a little bit.
On the court, Sophie has that rare switch flip ability. Not just scoring bursts, not just hustle plays, but energy that shifts a game's emotional temperature. When Clark takes a hard hit, eyes immediately find Cunningham. Because history says she won't let it pass, she doesn't overreact, she recalibrates. That's why the autograph moment detonated online. It wasn't just comedy, it was ownership. When she wrote "Property of Sophie Cunningham," it wasn't random ink, it was a signal. This is my defensive territory, and if you're going to test it, understand who you're testing. It was less trash talk and more territorial flag planting.
So in the first half, the refs didn't call. Someone should have been thrown out, and the refs did not call it.
Correct. I remember that.
They didn't, and so I was like,
That
all
was when
right,
she got full body
dude,
chested.
by 3 people.
Yeah.
Like 2 people. They're like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, if that was anyone else, I would have been booted out of the game. I know that for sure. I'm a little sassy, but like, so are they.
Your leash is shorter though, because they know.
Literally, I don't even have a leash. I just have a freaking collar and a hand on it. Anyway, so there was like 45 seconds left. The girl stole the ball, and I was running back, and I was like, we're up. I don't need to foul. And I was like, just let her go. And I was like, all right, like, who cares? Last second, intrusive thoughts. I was like, F it.
And let's be clear about something. Sophie backs it up. Since landing in Indiana, she's delivered some of the most efficient stretches of her career. The 3-ball is falling. The double-digit scoring nights are stacking up. She's hit timely shots in tight games when others went cold. That production matters because it separates her from the caricature of an enforcer who exists solely to absorb fouls. She contributes. She spaces the floor. She forces defenses to stay honest.
She's got all the aura right now. All of it. Got the podcast and a damn good one. I mean, when's the next podcast drop? News is getting slow. There's got to be at least 3 or 4 good things in every Sophie Cunningham podcast.
That's why her edge carries weight. She's not trying to create relevance through confrontation. She's already relevant. She's in closing lineups. She's in scouting reports. She's a legitimate piece of what Indiana is building. In many ways, she feels like a throwback. The kind of player who protects the locker room culture as fiercely as she protects the paint. And right now, in a league where Caitlin Clark draws unprecedented physical attention, that role is essential. Clark's arrival has been transformative. Attendance spikes, television numbers jump, merchandise flies. But the spotlight has also attracted something else. Defenders eager to make a statement at her expense. For a second-year player, the volume of contact she absorbs is striking. If no one pushes back, the message spreads quickly. Target her. That's a dangerous dynamic. Sophie's presence interrupts that narrative. It says there are consequences, not dirty ones, not reckless ones, but competitive ones.
One of the biggest stars the WNBA's ever
Who's that?
had. Her name rhymes with Schmatlin.
Hurtland?
Yeah. What has that been like, seeing her not only kind of transform a league, but also just be like,
no,
is that fair to say?
Not even just the league, but like
The
women's
sport?
basketball as a whole around the world. No, I think it's awesome. I think it's so funny because she's like 22, 23 years old, and the whole world is watching her.
Yeah.
Fans have embraced it completely. The autograph clip went viral within hours. Memes labeled Sophie Black Belt Barbie, nodding to her martial arts background and blending toughness with personality. People started joking about merch drops featuring property of Sophie Cunningham. Meanwhile, Sheldon's online perception tilted in the opposite direction. Mention her name to many fans, and the first thing that comes up isn't a stat line. It's the foul on Clark, the knee contact, and now the public claim from Cunningham. In a league where storylines stick, that shift matters. The bigger takeaway isn't about embarrassment, it's about tone setting. Sophie's response told the rest of the roster something important. You don't let your star absorb everything alone. That mentality builds unity. Clark's game flourishes when teammates create space and deter reckless aggression. Cunningham's approach complements that perfectly. She can knock down a deep 3, take a charge, and then smile through the chaos. That mix of skill and swagger resonates beyond Fever fans. Even neutral viewers appreciate players who defend their own without crossing the line.
God, I wish we had more teammates, or I wish more teammates of Caitlin Clark would get this fired up when their transcendent superstar, who's now hurt and has missed half the games this year, has been the target, that some of the other players would get a little bit aggressive on behalf of Caitlin Clark. Get in between something. You never, this is in the NBA. Every team in hockey, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, I mean, these transcendent stars, it's always the goon, the enforcer. In this case, Sophie Cunningham, I mean, normally these guys, they're not really putting up numbers. The difference here is Sophie Cunningham is a real basketball player and a hell of a good one.
And what makes it more striking is how uncommon that kind of public jab is in the WNBA. Sure, games get chippy, words get exchanged, but using a fan event to make a playful yet pointed statement, that's rare territory. It wasn't malicious. It was confident. It built her personal brand as someone who won't be pushed around. The Black Belt Barbie nickname works because it captures that balance. Polished and poised, but ready. This isn't about being universally adored. It's about establishing identity. Sophie isn't in Indiana to win popularity contests. She's there to win games and make sure her teammates can compete without constant interference. That authenticity is what fans latch onto. And in a league still fighting for mainstream consistency, personalities that spark conversation, the right kind, are invaluable.
And you got tossed?
And it was 2-on-1. Yeah, I got tossed.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we're good. But so in a situation like that, does Caitlyn come up to you after and say like, because the internet whole thing was, look at fucking Sophie sticking up for Caitlyn, like this is dope.
But I was.
No, I know you were.
But in the locker room, I think she was like, finally, you know, like finally someone else. I was like, dude, I got you. Like it's, but I think that kind of had our team come together as a whole. And it's like, no, we gotta have like, it was
awesome.
Yeah, no, it really was though. Like, I feel like everyone was like, you know, like we do have to protect each other. And
Looking ahead, this storyline isn't disappearing. The next time Indiana faces Sheldon's team, the cameras will linger. Every screen, every bump, every defensive assignment will carry extra context. Opponents now know that targeting Clark won't go unanswered. That awareness alone shifts the mental math. It's one thing to gamble on cheap contact when you think no one will respond. It's another when you know there's a veteran ready to step into the frame. At the end of the day, Sophie didn't just check Jacy Sheldon. She clarified the boundaries for everyone watching. It wasn't reckless. It wasn't chaotic. It was deliberate. And in a season where Clark has absorbed more than her share of physicality, that deliberate response felt overdue. So now the conversation shifts. Was the property of Sophie Cunningham moment the perfect mic drop? Or did it ignite a rivalry that will only intensify? Either way, one thing is certain. Indiana's star isn't navigating this league alone anymore. How much do you love Sophie? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.